Are you ready to expand your life and reality? Join us for the next hour with Jamie Bates as she shares life-changing thoughts, techniques, and awarenesses to help you expand your reality.
Hello and welcome. I am Jamie Bates, consciousness facilitator and expander of realities. My mission with my radio show is to create greater awareness of what is possible and to expand you beyond the limitations of this reality. I am grateful that you're joining me today. And today I'm talking about fear. What is keeping you looping in fear? Talking about fear of the unknown, fear of the dark, fear of information, even the fear of knowing. Really, lots of paradigms where you may be looping in a fear construct. The kind that potentially you can feel in your body. You know, that fear that stops you in your tracks, that deep, debilitating kind. I think every single one of us can identify with some level of fear. Some of us have a deeper level understanding of fear than others, right? Especially if you're really, really, really sensitive to energy. More than likely, you have a deep understanding of fear, right? So today I'm going to talk about using tips and tools that I've personally used myself and with those I love, my family members in particular, and my clients. So how do we truly shift fear? Yeah, it's a big question. So let's go ahead and take some nice deep breaths today, and we're going to really truly get into our body, because that's one of those things. If you experience a lot of that fear that you can feel in your body, when you feel that fear energy come over your body, that is a key indicator that you have separated yourself from your body, because that energy comes in, and it kind of feels like a wall of numbness that comes over your body, right? And what that is actually doing is it's actually separating yourself from your body. So learning to get into your body, taking some nice deep breaths, and really connecting into your body is really kind of a key element of being able to shift that fear reaction in your body. So let's go ahead and take some nice deep breaths. Nice deep breaths. And let's go ahead and expand out. And what we're going to do here is we're going to expand out your being, not your body. After all, you are a being, right? Your energy, space, and consciousness. And then you have a body. And your body is within your being. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and expand your being. So go ahead and expand your being out as big as the room that you're in, and go all the way out and all the way down and all the way up. Nice deep breath. And go ahead and make yourself as big as the building that you're in, whether you're at home, you're at work, whatever kind of building that you're in. Maybe you're just in your car. Just go ahead and expand out as big as that. All the way out and all the way down and all the way up, and all you're doing is expanding out your being. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to envision anything. You just have to listen to the sound of my voice. Go ahead and expand out as big as the state that you're in. It's a bigger one. All the way out and all the way down and all the way up. And go ahead and expand out as big as the country that you're in, all the way out and all the way down and all the way up. Nice deep breath. And go ahead and expand out as big as the planet that we're on, as big as planet Earth. And go bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster. Nice deep breath. In the universe, big as the universe actually is. Multiverse, multiple universes. And times that by a million, times that by a million, times that by a million, times that by a million. All the way out to the space of who you be as the infinite being that you be. And keep going, keep going, keep going, and go all the way out till you get there, get there, get there. If you don't really quite feel that space of relaxation in your body yet, it's because you have not expanded out far enough. So times that by a million more. There you go, a million more, all the way out to the space of who you be as the infinite being that you be. Awesome. So, more than likely, you have had fear of the unknown at some point in your life, whether you experience it on a regular basis. And when I say unknown, I'm talking about like where maybe you're in bed and something crashes, or you hear something, or you feel something on your body, and you feel that fear reaction come over your body, right? And it's like that unknown energy, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Right? And many of us, especially as a very young child, being so energetically sensitive, you probably spent a lot of your childhood being scared, potentially scared of the dark, fear of really knowing what was going on around you energetically, right? Like knowing that maybe there's someone in the room with you, but knowing that that thing doesn't have a body. Fear of just really the unknown energy that you were aware of. Yeah. And the thing about fear is, and the thing about this whole construct is, fear is a looping system. Okay. Like most emotional upset, fear will keep you looping in it. The more times that you've experienced this deep level of fear, the more control it holds over your life. Now, this is an interesting thing because many of us have been experiencing these deep level fears for so long that what we have done is we have put up shields and barriers and resistance, right? Because really, most of what I'm talking about here in particular is this energy where you are fearing the energy that's around you, right? You're fearing that energy that you know exists, but you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to embrace it. You don't know how to pay attention to it. So it puts you in this constant state of resistance. Now, what that constant state of resistance has done is it has kind of boxed you in energetically in this place of fear construct. And it's such an interesting thing because when you change this and you change the way that you react to this and you release the power that it has over you, it literally changes your life. Okay, if I can just say that. Now, I'm going to kind of talk about my own personal experience with this. And even like the experiences that I've had with my husband in particular. And this is really that, again, that fear of the unknown, right? Fear of the dark, fear of the information that you're receiving, the fear of knowing what is really truly going on around you. Now, I know that I said this show was about fear, and oftentimes, we also relate like the fear of our life choices, right? The fear that you're making the wrong choices, fear that you're making the wrong decisions, just fear about life in general. And I'm going to tell you that when you apply these same tips and tools to that fear as well, your life starts to change. Because the thing is fear is no different fearing your life choices and fearing the unknown about your life is kind of the same exact thing. And I guarantee you that somewhere you're looping in the same exact energy. So let me just dive in here and let me just explain this. So from a very, very, very young age, I can remember uh, always, like, for number one, I can always remember having conversations when I was little with no one, right? With quote unquote no one. And, many of us can remember that, having conversations with our quote unquote imaginary friends, or whoever our parents identified who we were talking to with, right? But for me, I always just knew that there were beings around listening to me. I just didn't really relate that to uh, anything really. It was just kind of always this knowing, right? Like, do you feel that place where you just always had that knowing that there was beings around you, that there was things listening? And I've had my kids say this to me on lots of occasions as well, where you kind of feel like you're in that movie place, right? Where like you're almost in like starring in a movie and it's all about you and there's people watching it. Have you ever had that? That knowing, especially when you were little, you had that feeling that you were like the star of your own show and people were watching you? Yeah, that. I'm just going to pull that through and give you that information, and pull that through and give you that information. Just pull it all the way through and just relax into it a little bit more. Because what if that was really truly true for you? What if there always has been people around you? There always has been people listening. And what if now's the time where you don't have to be scared of that any longer? And everything, all of that is all of that, 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 all of that. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. I don't know at what age I shifted from not being scared of that to being scared of that, to knowing that there were beings around me, that there were things around me that I couldn't see, and feeling that fear reaction in my body. I'm not sure exactly when I started to actually feel that in my life, but I do remember as I got older, it started to kind of freak me out a little bit, right? Started to kind of be a little scary. And I remember I used to have lots of times where I went through what I think people mostly call now that sleep paralysis, where you are in bed, you're aware, like you can hear things that are going on. Like I can remember laying in bed and hearing the TV play in the living room, right? And hearing my parents talking, and like being able to feel that I was laying down, being able to like, feel maybe it was warm in my bedroom or whatever, like being basically completely present, but at the same time completely paralyzed, and knowing that like I had no control over my body. And when I first started really experiencing that, it really truly, I remember it freaked me out. And I had tons and tons and tons of resistance to it, right? I had tons of energy that came up. Like I could feel the fear reaction in my body. I could feel myself freaking out, but there was literally nothing I could do about it. And one day I started really playing with that, and I started really going to this space where I'm like, okay, well, I know what's going to happen here, right? I know that like I'm going to fight it, and eventually it's just going to go away. So what if I just surrendered to it instead? And so what I started doing was, as soon as I started to feel that way, I started just going into like a deep surrender and just relaxing everything in my body. And what happened was, it almost instantaneously, the better I got at relaxing and surrendering, the faster and faster it went away. And it got to a certain point where it literally just stopped happening to me altogether. And as I got older, I started to kind of apply that same thought to if I would enter a room and I would feel scared, or I would feel that fear reaction in my body, right? And I would just surrender, 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 surrender. And what would happen is I wouldn't be scared anymore. I wouldn't feel this resistance coming over my body. I wouldn't feel this this reaction in my gut, right? I just started to feel at peace and at ease with the situation. So I started to kind of apply the surrender rule fairly young in my life, my late teens, early 20s. I started to realize that nothing that didn't have a body had any control over me, and that there was no reason to fear anything that, again, like didn't have a body, right? Now, obviously, there's two different types of fear. There's the fear where you're going into, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, perceiving energies, and it's putting you into fear, right? Because you're perceiving energies outside of your body that have a strong energy, potentially even uh, the energy that you're perceiving, let's say with a being without body, those things can be in fear themselves, because there's a lot of things going on there. They could be unaware that they're even dead. They can be scared because maybe they're trapped between um, two layers of energy. They could be, there's a lot of different energies going on there of fear that you may be perceiving. Okay, but then there's actual fear. Like, let's say if you're in danger and someone's coming into your, coming up to hurt you, or that's a totally, completely different type of fear that we're not talking about necessarily today. And that is also a fear that you need to be aware of, right? In that instance, let's just even talk about, if someone was coming over to injure you or hurt you, you can get way more done in the calm state than you're ever going to get in that fear-based anxiety, right? But you definitely always want to know the difference. So when you feel a fear reaction come over your body, one of the first things I tell people to always ask themselves is, truth, do I have a reason to feel fearful right now, or is this something else? Like, do I truly, am I truly in danger? Looking at that in that terms, am I truly in danger? Or is this something else? Because if you're truly in danger, if you're having a fear reaction in your body because you're truly in danger, you obviously want to know that, right? But if you're having a fear reaction in your body because you're aware of something, that's a completely different thing. You don't need to choose to go into that fear construct if you're just aware of something. And so everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. It's interesting about fear, because I kind of have a theory about about fear and about the way that we process it in our body, and about how, especially how all of us kind of were taught, I'm going to say, to be scared of these energies at a very young age. Because if there's one thing, again, that I really understand about fear, is fear keeps you looping in paradigms that that take you out of being present. They take you out of your body. They take you out of your being. They put you in being scared. Once you're scared, once you're in fear, you're completely disconnected from your body. And once you're completely disconnected from your body is able to be taken over. There's so many different things that can happen when you completely get pulled out of your body. And if you're used to getting pulled out of your body, like if you're commonly in that fear-based reaction, life is hard to function in. And I know this because when I first started dating my husband operated in a complete fear-based reality, because he was so aware of other beings, energies around him, beings without bodies, whatever you want to call them. He was continuously in this fight or flight mode in his body. And so when he would see something, it would freak him out, right? and he would completely separate himself from his body, and he would go right into like this kind of like this panic mode. Now, he was an adult when we started dating, right? And I mean, to the point where like he couldn't sleep with the lights off. He was constantly in this, like he would always hear like people say his name in his ear. He often felt this like energies coming over his body, just like I was talking about with like the sleep paralysis energy, right? Energies coming over your body. And what that actually created was, not only did it create tons of stress and tons of anxiety in his life, but it made it, he had tons of brain fog, right? Made it hard for him to make decisions. He didn't get good sleep because he was getting woke up, you know, sometimes 10, 15 times a night with this energy, right? And it was literally kind of ruining his life. Yeah, and there's so much just like fog and heaviness here and all of this, because this is like a paradigm that I feel like the energies don't really want us diving into, because if you knew how easy it was to change it, I feel like, yeah, everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 all of that. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. We're going to go bigger and faster with that, and bigger and faster with that, and bigger and faster with that, and bigger and faster with that. Because the thing is this is really truly a very easy paradigm to shift. Because once you start actually calling out this energy, once you start actually acknowledging this energy, and you release the fear around it, what happens is, again, like there's no more power or control over you. And this changes like almost instantaneously. Everything in the way of that. Let's just freeze all that. Freeze it, 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 freeze it. All the way out. All the way out, 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 all the way out. Everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of universes, and can we just choose that now? Vanish, vanquish, vanish, vanquish, vanish, vanquish, vanish, vanquish, and vaporize, 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 vaporize. Let's just go all the way out, and all the way out, and all the way out, and all the way out. And everything that you said you would do for all of them, and everything they said they would do for you, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. More space, 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 more space. All the way out, and 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 all the way out. And we're just gonna vortex that all the way through, and 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 all the way through. I'm just gonna implement more power, so you can have power over this, power over this, power over this, power over this, power over this. A nice deep breath. There really truly isn't anything that you have to be scared of. And I can remember, so when me and my husband started dating, it was like, he was continuously kind of ping ponged in that fear reaction he was always feeling in his body, right? And so I started really talking to him about this and really telling him, like, there is literally truly nothing that you have to be scared of. And here's what I want you guys to see here is, because if this energy can keep you looping in fear, which so many of us get continual looped back into being scared, right? If this energy can keep you looping in fear, it literally can take over your life, can siphon your energy sources. Yeah, that right there. Has control over you. And everything that you give control over you, you're allowing to make decisions in your life. That right there. Everything, all of that is, and all the oaths, false commitments, communities, fealties, swearings, binding and bonding contracts, all of the reciprocal agreements, carnational agreements, signatories, everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, uncreate, make null and void, 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 make null and void. I was really on the fence about creating a show about this, because I am aware how definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? How if you are controlled, manipulated, and dominated by these energies, they are more than likely going to stop you from listening to this, because they really, truly don't want you to become aware of the control that they have over your life, because if you do, you're going to stop that. And again, these are like most of their power sources. Most of these beings are siphoning your energy sources, and they are controlling your life. And over the years of doing this work, I have come into contact with the most interesting paradigms of beings. I had this client one time who came and seen me when I was owning my healing center. I actually had a ton, I'm going to say probably hundreds of clients who came and seen me because they had a issue in their body that they had going on, that literally no one could figure out what was wrong with them. And when they came in, I could instantaneously see what was going on was, they had beings of many sources leeching their energy, attached to their body, and basically draining the sources. I remember this one time I had this woman come in, and she wasn't very old. She was in her 40s. And she had a problem with her, I want to say it was, trying to look at what leg it was. It was her left leg. No, it was her right leg. Left leg. I'm envisioning myself working on her. I was standing in front of her. And anyways, she had this, like, it was right at the knee joint. And when she had came in, she had actually came in for initially because we had a healing fair, right? And she came in and she said, I was just thinking if somebody could help me. And instantaneously, I could see this big leech that was stuck from about her knee area all the way down to her ankle. And I said, yeah, sure. I mean, I can already tell what that is, and I can totally release that. And so I put my hand on her knee and all the way down to her ankle, and I started talking to her, and I was just literally kind of energetically pulling this leech off of her leg all the way down. And as we were talking, I'm releasing this, removing it, releasing it, removing it, right? I'm going through the energy healing of it. But what I'm aware of is how much of her life she is looping in uncertainty. And again, that's that's a telltale sign that you get looped back into fear. And so I'm talking to her about this, and when I worked on her for like 20, 25 minutes, whatever, she gets done and she stands up and she's like, oh my gosh, like it's gone. And I tell her, yes, it absolutely is. But you have a source point there, and that source point is going to, you have to learn. You have to basically learn how to stand in your confidence and your knowing, because when you do that, it's going to release the source point there. But when you go back into downing your knowing and that fear of uncertainty and that fear energy, that's what actually invokes those beings. Anyways, she ended up coming back over and over and over, and we did work through her issues, and that completely cleared up. But not only did that completely clear up, her life changed. See, those issues in your body are just a symptom of being drained. And when you learn how to stand in your power, I have so many stories. I had this lady who was coming to see me because she had frequent migraines. It was such an interesting thing. I actually worked with her probably about 4 months in total, but I actually probably worked with her for about 4 sessions before we actually got to the awareness of really where the drain was coming from. And it was so interesting because not only had she been opened and drained, but she had been filled with this, because it's part of the system and the structure that gets put in place around fear, is if they can implant you with things. And I know that this is such an interesting way that I'm explaining it, but if you can get implanted with things, then that implantation oftentimes will take over your body, and your body goes through this, like, where it's trying to release the foreign implantation, right? And that is actually where you get a lot of the symptoms. So anyway, she had migraines, and one day, it was about 4 weeks in, I was just sitting and I was just holding her head as I had been doing. I'm just going to kind of give you kind of the energy of it. I was holding her head. I'm just going to give everyone the how that feels. And all of a sudden, all of this water, it wasn't real water, but the feeling of water just started gushing out of the back of her head so intensely that she even felt it. She was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, it feels like there's a waterfall coming out of the back of my head. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm just holding it, right? And it completely, when the water was completely done, her head like stopped hurting. And she actually, we worked through, and she actually was released from that migraine disorder altogether. And it's like, it's interesting to me how many issues manifest within the body that have to do with these fear constructs. Because they are these things that can actually stop you from looking at them, because it can bring that reaction up in your body when you even start to, and it actually creates kind of like a don't look at this kind of paradigm. And when you go there and you don't look at it, it never changes. So everything, all of that is, and everything in the way of that, all 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 of that. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. More space, more space, more space, more space, more space, more space, more space. I'll never forget this one time I was at a healing fair, and this boy came over with his parents. I don't know how old he was, 7, 8 years old. And he had his fingers, like at the knuckle joints, were completely bent backwards. And oh, it looked so painful. And I said to his mom, what's going on with his hands? And she said he has a muscle disorder where the muscles are tightening and it's pulling his joints back like that. And I'm like, oh gosh. And so I said, said to the little boy, I said to Mom, I said, can I hold his hand for a moment? And she said, yeah, absolutely. And I grabbed his little hand and I was holding his little hand in my hand. I had both of his little hands. I'm just holding them. And as I was doing that, all of his fingers relaxed. And his little hands just fell into, his little fingers just fell into my hands. And his whole face lit up. And he said, oh my gosh, Mom, look. And she glanced over and she seen his hands in my hands with all of his fingers down. And she grabbed him and she yanked him away from me and they took off. And I could tell at that very moment that there was a fear reaction that had came over her body, right? And that fear reaction stopped her from actually truly moving forward with something that was going to change that. And yeah, that right there, and everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 all of that. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And that's what the fear reaction does. It takes you out of being present and it puts you into a different place. Yeah, that right there. And everywhere you go, when your body goes into fear, there. Everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 all of that. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. More space, 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 more space. All the way out and all the way down, and all the way out and all the way down, and all the way out and all the way down. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. There's literally nothing in this reality to be afraid of ever. And when you start standing in your power and you start to realize that there is absolutely, positively nothing to fear, that right there, and everywhere you're not allowed to access that place, everywhere you're not allowed to be that, everywhere you're not allowed to choose that, everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. Everywhere you're not allowed to go beyond your fear. That right there. All the way through and 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 all the way through. All the beings, doings, and others that are making sure that you're looping in fear all of the time. Everything, all of those are. Can we just choose to remove all of those from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. Banish, vanquish, 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 banish, vanquish. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. One of the most important things to really get here about fear is a system. Okay, it is a looping system. that keeps you looping in the energy of it so you can have no power and no control. And everything all of that is, and everywhere that system exists within your system, that right there, and all the form, structure, and significance in and around all of that, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And all the structures, constructs, adaptations, and mutations, that right there, that have supported all of your points of view about fear, helped you created your fear, helped you stay in the fear. Everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And all the technologies, black meta technologies and magics, that right there, in and around all of this, all of that, 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 everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. You know, there's so many belief systems and points of views in and around this that uphold these structures oftentimes, especially if you've had a traumatic event in your life. If you've experienced something traumatic that put you in a fear reaction, that right there, and everywhere you've aligned and agreed with that, everywhere you've resisted and reacted to, defended for, defended against, righteous for, righteous against, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? Vaporize, 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 vaporize. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And all the reciprocal agreements, responsibilities, obligations, and commitments that you have with all beings. Everything, all of that is right there. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. I know we're doing a lot of clearing here. Just really giving you new space, so you can have a different possibility with this. You know, the thing is again, there's nothing, absolutely positively nothing for you to be fearful of. I worked with this woman for a while, who owned a business, and her business was actually built upon a I guess ground that used to be a railroad station, one of the very, very, very first railroad stations built in her town, right? And that railroad station initially started with, I want to say it was the coal industry or something. Anyways, there was at that very spot, there was a lot of people who had died in tragic accidents, unloading equipment or unloading things, unloading equipment. And anyways, within her business, uh, every time she was there, all day, like she would feel like different times of the day, she would have different energies come over her body. She would feel scared. Especially like a lot of times she was there after everyone left, and you know, she'd be the last one out the door, and like as she was walking out, she would feel very scared. um, uh, she's tried not to be there after dark, but if she did happen to be there after dark and she was walking out turning on off the lights, right, she felt really scared. And so we started really looking at that. And again, I'm going to go back to um, looking at, so one of the things we really started talking about here was, number one, What are you truly aware of? She said, well, I know that there's, I know there's spirits there. I know there's things there on the ground. Okay, are on the grounds. And I said, so let's just play with this for a moment. If you're aware that there's beings there without bodies, which kind of there's beings without bodies that exist all over this world, right? If you're aware that there's beings there without bodies, and you're aware that they've potentially been there for, over 100 years, right? Just think about that for a moment. Have they been stuck there on the grounds for over 100 years? Because if they have, or even if they've only been stuck there for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, right? And nobody's acknowledging them, because every time someone feels them, right, they have a fear reaction in their body. And then they get scared and they immediately go to shutdown. Yeah, that. Everything, all of that is, and everywhere you experience that, and everywhere that right there, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. I'm just going to go all the way out, all the way out, all the way out, all the way out. So one of the things I started to talk to her about was, what if instead of being scared of that, you started to acknowledge that that thing is potentially scared, right? If it's been there for a long time, nobody acknowledges it. Every time it gets close to somebody and says, please help me, the people get scared and run away, right? What if you just started acknowledging it and saying, I can feel you. I know you're here. How would that change things? And so she started doing that. Instead of allowing herself to go to that fear-based reaction, right? By asking that question, like, truth, do I really truly have something to be scared of here? Or something else, right? And realizing that she didn't really truly have anything to be scared of there. What she was aware of was the fear that that being was in, right? And she started to just, really go to that space of like, what is it that you require? What's going on? Um, and she started surrendering to the energy. The beings left. Everything, all of that is, and everywhere you're not allowed to do that, everywhere you're not allowed to access that, everywhere you're not allowed to have capacities within that, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? Vaporize, 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 vaporize. I just really want to change the energy here, because I feel like there's a lot of places where we're going into shutdown about this. That right there. And open that up more, and open that up more, and open that up more, and open that up more. What if you didn't have to be scared of things? And what if you could just ask it some questions and get the awarenesses and allow it to leave? What if the fear you have against them, the fear that they are stuck in, is actually what's keeping them locked in, looping, and never changing? And everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. There's so much energy around this topic. And I'm not 100% sure that I'm exactly hitting the right chord here with all of it. But I do know that by allowing yourself to listen here, and by allowing yourself to clear a lot of these constructs, what you're doing is you're changing the energy around it. so interesting with this work, because when you change the energy around things, your life starts to change, right? And there's really no defined point at which you might be able to say, okay, I changed this and it created this, or, where you're going to exactly be able to pinpoint exactly uh, how your life changed. But life changes. The more you surrender, life changes. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And all the shikyu, stupidity, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog around all of this, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. We just want to have more space, more possibilities, more space, more possibilities, more space, more possibilities, more space, more possibilities. I want to release the power that it has over you. Everywhere you've given your power away, everywhere you've given something else your power, everywhere you have decided you are powerless over this situation, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. Sometimes I feel like I make no sense at all, and potentially I don't, because most of the clearings, especially that I'm doing in this audio in particular, this radio show in particular, is really just mostly energetics, and I don't know that my words even really matter. So it's interesting to me to be in this place in this time where I'm doing this, where looks like about right now, between all the different places that my show is being aired, anywhere between 800 and 1,000 people are listening to the show weekly, which I'm super duper excited about. It's very exciting to me to know that that many people are accessing this information. But at the same time, it brings up an interesting energy for myself, because like sometimes I don't really know if I make any sense. But I do love the emails and the support that you've been giving me. I'm super appreciative when I get emails from people who've been listening to my show and they tell me how it's changing their life. It really, truly does help me to continue on, if you will. Not that I've considered stopping, but to know that sometimes I feel like I'm not even sure if that show made any sense. And then somebody emails me and says, that show really changed my life. It definitely really makes what I'm doing better. If I know that something I said, or an energy clearing I did, or maybe you have no idea how this is changing your life, but you've been listening to the show for a little while and you're just feeling different and your life is changing, send me an email. Let me know. Share with me how things are changing for you. I would love to hear. I would even just love to hear that you're enjoying the show. Doing this type of work is really kind of one of those things that uh, has changed for me so much over the years. And um, I don't know, it's just really an interesting paradigm for me. So I would love to hear how the show is helping you, changing things for you. It really, really, truly is an amazing gift to hear. So with that being said, I am just going to kind of wrap up this energy that I've been delivering today, as I maybe even share with you my membership portal. It's open. I'm actually doing a lot of recording of new stuff and putting it in there. There is a lot of my older beginning stuff as well, and there's middle stuff as well. So if you're functioning in any emotional upset, first and foremost, I would say that this portal is 100% for you. If you're looping in any emotional upset still, this is definitely 100% for you. It's really going to help change things for you. Also, I have money stuff in there. I have all kinds of different audios about all kinds of different things. Putting this work into words for myself and for others has really been interesting because I can't say I solve one issue, right? Because the thing is I clear unconscious patterns and unconscious energies. And that is around every paradigm. That's from fear to guilt and shame, all the way to self-worth and uh, lack and limitations. So it's kind of across the board to really how to explain what I do to for people. But right now in the membership portal, there is a step-by-step. There's tools, right? You can start with tools, learning all the different tools that I teach in short form, and then really just applying them by listening to the audios and listening to the way that we use them. And this work is so interesting because the more you listen, the more you get out of it, right? And the more your life shifts and changes. So most people within a month or two of really diving in find their life is showing up differently, because when you change the energy, space, and consciousness in which you're functioning in, your life changes. So it's not really a defined like, hey, we're working on this one thing and we're going to change it. It's releasing the unconscious patterns. It's releasing the unconscious energies in your life. And when you do that, and when you're consistent with that, all of a sudden you get to see these places where you've been functioning in these energies where it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was doing that. I didn't even realize how much resistance I had around that. I didn't even realize how, dynamically I was functioning and unconscious with that. And when you stop, you realize how much more choice you have in your life. There's nothing more satisfying to me that when someone tells me, I feel like I actually have a choice now. And I don't know that you can really see that until you start changing things in a way where you truly get to this place where it's like you realize how many times you've been auto-responding in something. It was interesting this morning. I was giving my daughter a ride to school, and I said something to her about her day, and I can't even remember the exact words that she used, but she said it, and then she said, no, wait, that's not even right. That was a total autoresponder. I felt so proud. I felt so proud in that moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, she totally gets it. Like, she can totally see where she's been auto-responding in her life. And when you start really getting to that space where you're like, oh, wait a second, that's not what I meant to say. That was an auto-response, or that was just an energetic response, or whatever. It's so interesting. So it kind of made my whole day to hear her say that this morning. But anyways, so today is June 5th, 2019. Right now, you can join my membership portal for $36 a month and get access to all kinds. Right now, there's probably like 100 hours worth of stuff in there that you can listen to, that you can learn from, that you can clear yourself out of. I mean, now is the time. Now is the time to take control of your life and to really start functioning in consciousness, because you are a powerful creator and you get to create what you desire to create. And if you're looping in these paradigms, especially fear, let me tell you what. When you get out of that and you start to realize how much control and power you do have over your own choices, and how much space you have to make something different happen, everything changes. So if you'd like to join me, you can join me at www.expandyourrealityinstitute.com. You can also join me on my website, www.jamie.bates.com. And check out, you can sign up for my email list there. You can check out my portal there. You can be part of all of the amazing things I have going on. I also have all kinds of classes on there that you can browse from as well. And if you have any questions, you can also email me at jamie@bates.com. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope today's show gave you some lightness, gave you some new space, created something different. And thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Have a great day. Bye.
You have been listening to Expand Your Reality with your host, Jamie Bates. Thank you for listening.